Very good afternoon to all. Today we will be discussing about worm gear. So in this machine design second, we have discussed about verified the spur gear in detail, then about the helical gears, and next about the bevel gear. So three types of gears we have already discussed. So now you all are quite familiar with the basic things. So as per the last three gears, or you can say last chapter bevel gear, the what we will be discussing in this chapter. So I will highlight introduction to worm gear, then advantages, disadvantages, where the worm gears are used. I can call it as applications. Then the terminology and the different terms and the different proportions that are used, the tooth proportions. Then force analysis, then strength rating. Here in this chapter, worm gear, it is called a strength rating. So wear strength rating and strength rating for this instead of beam, it is strength rating mentioned. Then we will be discussing about the effect of heat and so I will call it as a thermal consideration. So it is also considered here and numericals related to this. So this is the terminology and this is the way in which we will proceed. So let us start, friends. So introduction to worm gear. So we have already we are familiar with the worm gear. So the sample image for worm gear is shown in the figure in the diagram. The worm gear drive is consists of a worm and worm wheel arrangement as shown in figure. The worm is a threaded screw which can have single, double, triple or multi-star threads. So you can consider this as a diagram I will. So this is your worm. So it is mentioned. And it is having that it is threaded like this threaded screw. So the threaded may be single star, double star, triple star or multi-star. The worm is generally the driver and the worm is usually cylindrical form having the threads of the same shape as that of involute rack. So this worm is having the threads and the threads is having the shape of involute rack. The worm gear is similar to that a helical gear with a face curved to confirm the shape of the worm. So it is mentioned that whatever the worm shape, it is the nothing but the similar to helical gear. So this part is called as in the diagram I can say this part is called as the worm and here it is mentioned this is the worm wheel and so this pair is called as worm and worm wheel. The worm is generally made up of steel and worm gear or it is also called as worm wheel is made up of phosphor, bronze or cast iron. So generally the worm is made up of steel material and the worm wheel or gear I will call it as worm wheel also. So the worm wheel is made up of phosphor, bronze or cast iron. Okay, the worm gears are used to transmit the power at high velocity ratio. The worm gears. See now, what before going to this point, we have solved the numericals for spur gear, helical gear. So maximum power transmission in spur gear 6 to 1 like this. So see here 6 to 1, 8 to 1. So if you compare here, the worm gears are used to transmit the power at high velocity ratios between two non-intersecting shafts. Very important. Objective type question can be asked based on this non-intersecting shaft and speed can be as high as 300. So generally it is 100. Very easily it can transfer 100 at 1 or 300 at 1. So see, if you consider 100 at 1 and very high power at higher velocity rate. The shafts are generally at right angle to each other. The worm gears are used in mechanical handling equipment, machine tools, and automobiles. So the shafts are right angle, and we here before also you might have observed the application of this worm and worm wheel in many mechanical handling equipment, machine tools, automobiles. So this is about the worm and worm wheel. We have discussed about the worm. It is generally the driver. It is similar to like helical gear and the worm wheel. The worm is made up of steel material and the worm wheel is made up of bronze material, or phosphor bronze material or cast iron material. And we have also discussed it is transmitting power at very higher speed ratios. Advantages. The most important characteristics of worm gear is the high speed reduction. They can transmit, as I have given, simply 100x to 1. So you can compare this with spur gear 6x to 1 standardized case, and here standardized case 100x to 1. So very higher power reduction is there for worm advantages of worm gear drive. Then the worm gear drives are compact in nature with small overall dimensions. Compact in nature with small overall dimensions compared with equivalent spur or helical gear drives with having the same speed reduction. See, if I want to go for 100 to 1 by using any spur or helical gear, then I have to go for multi-stages, 4-stage, 5-stage like this. I have to go for the multi-stage gearbox. But within single stage, the worm can transmit 100 to 1. So the size of the worm gear is compact with overall dimensions lesser as compared to equivalent speed reduction. If I will go for same power transmission by using spur and helical with same speed reduction. So this is the point, second advantage. Then the operation is smooth and silent. Third, and the provision can be made for self-locking operation. Very important. Provision can be made for self-locking when the motion is transmitted only from worm to worm wheel. This is the advantages in application like cranes and lifting devices. Assume that a lifting crane is there used in heavy industries. For example, 150-ton crane is there. So in this case, self-locking, if anything fail, then whatever is lifted by that crane, it will remain at that position. It will not fall down, because assume that 100-ton load is there, and if it is failure, then there are chances that human life loss or financial losses. So whatever is lifted or lowered, whatever the operation is going on, only self-locking, only one side motion transmission. So this is very good advantage of this worm and worm gear drive, that it can be transmitted only from worm to worm wheel, no reverse condition. So this is the advantages, especially in crane and lifting devices for safety purpose. So these are the some of the advantages of worm gear drive. Let us discuss about the limitations of worm gear drive. The efficiency is low as compared to other types of gear drive. Lesser efficiency as compared to other types. The worm wheel in general is made up of phosphor bronze, which increases the cost. The material we have discussed for worm and worm wheel. So if worm wheel is phosphor bronze, then as compared to steel material, it is having very high cost. This is another disadvantage, or we can say the limitation of this worm gear drive. Then considerable amount of heat is generated in worm gear drive, which is required to be dissipated by lubricating oil, to the housing walls and finally to the surrounding. So here thermal consideration I have already given you idea. The efficiency is less, the heat is generated as there is a sliding motion between the worm and worm wheel, and due to the sliding motion, heat is generated, and the heat is required to be dissipated in order to avoid the failure of gear. It is required to be dissipated by the lubricating oil to the housing walls and finally to surrounding, and this is the limitation of this particular worm gear drive. The power transmission capacity is low. Though 100:1 it is the speed reduction ratio, but the power transmission capacity is low. Worm gear drives are used up to 100 kilowatt power transmission. So these are the limitations, some of the limitations. Low efficiency, then worm wheel is made up of phosphorus bronze, therefore costlier. More amount of heat is generated, and power transmitting capacity is low. Then there are certain considerations in this particular worm wheel, worm and worm gear drive. It is necessary to consider the relationship between the number of starts on the worm and the efficiency to decide the suitability of the worm gear drive for a particular application. So two guidelines are given. So let me highlight, as we are using continuously this number of starts. So if I will say this one side view, I will show. So single start, only one point the gear is threads are starting. If double start, they are starting, the threading is starting from 2 points. Then if there are 3, then I have to divide. I cannot use this diagram. So here 1, then 2, then 3. And if it is 4 start, so like this. This is the, I can say, the single start, double start, triple start, or multi-start threads, or multiple starts on the worm. So for understanding purpose, I have explained that this is nothing but the starts. So single threaded, two guidelines are given in this case. Single threaded worm gives large speed reduction. However, efficiency is low. The large ratio, velocity ratio is obtained at the cost of efficiency. So here, as far as power transmission, if we will use the single threaded worm gear, then large velocity we will get, but at the cost of efficiency. Efficiency is low. If one will go for multi-threaded worm give, it will give higher efficiency. However, the speed reduction is low. The high efficiency is obtained at the cost of speed reduction. So in first case, large velocity, large speed reduction is obtained at the cost of efficiency. And in second case, higher efficiency is obtained at the cost of speed reduction. So it depends upon the application that which combination is to be used. So these are the guidelines given, that the relationship between number of torques and efficiency. These are just the guidelines for number of torques and efficiency. And based on the guidelines, there are some 4 major areas for this worm gear drive application. And the major areas for this worm gear drive applications are 1, 2, 3, 4, that we will discuss one by one. Manually operated intermittent mechanisms. Name only indicate manually operated. Intermittent, not continuously used. So large mechanical advantage is required in these applications, and efficiency is minor important. So here mechanical advantage should be more, and efficiency is not required or not having that much importance in this particular application. And the examples include the steering mechanism and the opening and closing of gate valve by means of hand wheel. So steering mechanism is one of the example given, and another example is given, that opening and closing of gate valve by using hand wheel. So hand wheel is used. The opening and closing of gate valves, you might have seen this particular example in many of the opening of these particular canal doors. So water flow canals are there, and the opening of the canal door. So the one wheel is operated, and based on the wheel, the doors are open. So opening and closing gate valves. So like this, you can go for many mechanisms, and this by using hand wheels. So the hand wheel is used, and based on the hand wheel, the gate are used. It is also, you can see in opening of the different types of gates also. So this is the second example. So the opening mechanism for the gate, by using the hand, it is rotated and automatically the mechanism will operate. So these are the some of the examples of manually operated, very important, manually operated intermittent mechanism for worm and worm wheel. Next, we will discuss second, the motorized operated intermittent mechanisms. In these applications, a small capacity, low cost motor drives the mechanism and the efficiency is of minor importance. So here, the same application is there. Instead of manually operated, the motor is used, a motor is used for operating, therefore it is called as motorized. Otherwise, the examples are also same. The examples include the drive for small hoist and the opening and closing gate also same examples, but they are performed by using an electric motor. This is very important. So electric motor is used for, and it is the application of worm and worm gear drive. Motorized continuous operations. In these applications, worm gear drives are used in place of other gear drives due to space limitation and silent operation. The efficiency is more important in these applications, motorized continuous operation. Multi-threaded worms are used in these applications to obtain higher efficiency. Motorized. So here efficiency is important and multi-threaded worms are used. The examples of these motorized continuous operations are drives for machine tools. So whatever the machine tools are there which we are observing in our workshop, and the higher heavy duty machine tools, and the elevators lift applications. So here the motorized continuous operation, for this case also the worm and worm gear drives are used. Motorized speed increasing application. So now third one is motorized continuous operation. Fourth one is motorized speed increasing. The worm gear drives are preferred due to high velocity ratio for this application and due to silent operation. The efficiency is of more important in this particular application. So for third and fourth, efficiency is having also importance. Speed increasing application include drives for automotive, supercharger, and centrifugal cream charger. So automotive supercharger is a example given. In order to increase the efficiency, the automotive supercharger is provided with 6-threaded worm having lead angle about 45 degrees. So here the speed is increased, and for this application the worm gear drives are used. So four different categories we have seen: manually operated intermittent mechanism, motorized operated intermittent mechanism, motorized continuous operation, and motorized speed increasing operation. Okay, so after this, friends, let us start the terminology. So very, very important for any of the gear. The terminology gives the basics about the gear, and it also gives the formula and something more information which is required for a design point of view. So terminology is very important. So terminology of worm gears, you can refer here the two diagrams, the worm and worm wheel diagram. So in this I can highlight D1 and D2 are the pitch circle diameters for worm and worm wheel. So I will pitch cylinder of worm, it is mentioned, and pitch cylinder of worm wheel. So I will highlight here the pitch cylinder of worm and the pitch cylinder of worm wheel. So D1 and D2 are the pitch circle diameters for worm and worm wheel. This Px and P are the axial pitch for this worm, and P is the circular pitch for this worm wheel. What you can identify is A is the center to center distance. So whatever A is shown, A is the center to center distance for this particular case. Now this lead I will example when we will discuss this point. Okay, a pair of worm wheel is designated by 4 quantities. So in any of the numerical you will solve a worm gear and you will get the number. So it is designated as Z1, Z2, Q, M. In all the numericals, this is the first line of the numerical. So let us understand what is this worm gear, how it is specified and designated. So Z1 stands for the number of starts. So it is mentioned here. Z1 stands for the number of starts. Z2, no problem. Z2 is for number of teeth on worm wheel. So this is the worm wheel, and the number of teeth on worm wheel is Z2. Though it is mentioned for your understanding, I am writing once. Q, very important. The diametral quotient. We will discuss how to calculate Q. So Q is the diametral quotient, very important. And M, not required to tell. M is nothing but the module. M is nothing but the module. So in this way it is mentioned. So you will get example also. For example, 1/20/3/5. So you can say that number of turns 1, number of teeth 20, diametral quotient 3, and module 5 millimeters. So like this in a numerical it is given. So very first, the worm gear is specified or designated by using this Z1, oblique Z2, Q and M. And we have discussed what is Z1, Z2, Q and M. Now let us see what is Q. So the diametral quotient is given by, it is mentioned here. The diametral quotient Q is given by D1 divided by module, where D1 stands for the pitch circle diameter of the worm. The diametral quotient is given by, here I will write. The diametral quotient is given by D1 divided by M. So Q is equal to D1 by M, where D1 is the pitch circle diameter of worm. D2 is the pitch circle diameter of worm wheel. So D1 and D2 I can say the pitch circle diameter of worm and worm wheel as shown in the figure, D1 and D2. Px is the pitch, P is the circular pitch, Px for worm wheel, P for particular worm. The worm is similar to a screw with single start or multi-start thread. So worm is nothing but it is like a screw. The threads of the worm have an involute helicoid profile, and the different terms used are. So before moving to the terms, once again I will repeat Z1, Z2, QM. By using these 4 things, the worm gear is specified. Z1 stands for number of starts, Z2 number of teeth on worm wheel, Q the diametral quotient, and M module. The diametral quotient is given by Q is equal to D1 by M. Therefore I can also write here after it is required to write. So from this you can say that this gives D1 is equal to Q into M. So we will use this relation also. D1 is equal to Q into M. Let us proceed one by one terms. Axial pitch. The first term. Not required to we are already familiar with what is axial pitch. The axial pitch of the worm is defined as the distance measured from a point on one thread to the corresponding point on adjacent thread measured along the axis. So here you can see the distance between 2 consecutive points measured along the axis. So this is considered as one point, this is the another point, and the distance I am once again highlighting here in the diagram. So this distance is nothing but Px. This distance is nothing but Px. So the axial pitch Px of the worm is defined as the distance measured from a point on one thread to the corresponding point on the adjacent thread measured along the axis of the worm. Very important now. Next term is the lead. So the lead L of the worm is defined as the distance that a point on the helical profile will move. The lead L is the distance that a point on helical profile will move when the worm is rotated through one revolution. This is the thread advance in one turn. So any one point is assumed on a particular helical profile and the thread will rotate through one revolution. So what is the position of that particular point after one revolution? This is nothing but the lead. It is also called as thread advance. It is also called as thread advance. For single start thread, it is equal to axial pitch. Very important, this relation. For single start thread, it is equal to axial pitch. For double start thread, it is twice of the pitch. For triple, it is thrice of the pitch. And therefore, it is written that L is equal to Px into Z1. L is equal to, L stands for the lead. So the lead is given by pitch into Z1. So I will say here pitch into Z1. It is mentioned here. Pitch into. And now let us go for lead. So by taking the reference of this particular diagram, I will explain. So this is one point taken, and after one revolution, it is the same point advances up to this position. So this is nothing but the lead. It is, I can say, 3 times of the pitch. So it is triple threaded worm. Therefore, L is here 3 times of the pitch. 3 times of pitch. So here, the pitch circle diameter, we are having the standard notation m into Z2. Then pitch is given by pi m. So L becomes pi m into Z1. L becomes pi m into Z1. So here value is substituted. So it is pi m into Z1. This is nothing but the lead. Okay, so this is terminology. First we have discussed what is axial pitch. And now we are discussing about the lead. Now next, lead angle. The lead angle is defined as the angle between tangent to the thread at the pitch diameter and the plane normal to the worm axis. So see, this is angle. So if you see, it is mentioned here in this particular diagram. Gamma. And now see also this angle also. This angle is psi. And if you refer this angle, so we can say that this is gamma. If you refer this diagram here, then this gamma plus psi is equal to 90 degree. Gamma plus psi is equal to 90 degree. Now let us focus these two angles, helix angle and lead angle. So lead angle gamma, helix angle psi. So I can say here that the lead angle is defined as the angle between tangent to the thread at a P diameter and the plane normal to the worm axis. So just now I have given it, you can write this tan of y is equal to Z1 divided by Q, and the helix angle psi is defined as the angle between tangent to the thread at the pitch diameter and the axis of the worm. The worm helix angle is complement to the worm lead angle. So we have discussed in this particular diagram, and you can see this is gamma, this is psi. So you can say gamma plus psi is equal to 90 degrees. So by using this relation, we can proceed further. So let us go for this. Pressure angle. The tooth pressure angle alpha is measured in a plane containing the axis of the worm, and it is equal to 1/2 of the thread angle. So pressure angle we all know. So it is measured in a plane containing the axis of the worm. So here you can see in the diagram. So it is mentioned here 2 alpha. It is equal to 1/2 of the thread angle as shown in the figure. The pressure angle should not be less than 20 degree for single and double star thread. So it is mentioned, some guidelines are given. So for single and double star thread, it should not be less than 20 degree and should not be less than 25 degree for triple and multiple star thread. So it should not be less than 20 for single and double star thread, and it should not be less than 25 degree for triple and multi-star thread. So here Px, the pitch is shown, then the angle, lead angle is shown, and this pressure angle is shown. The center distance. So we have seen the center to center distance. So A is given by very important PCR. So PCD plus PCD divided by C, or PCR plus PCR. So it is mentioned here A is equal to 0.5 into D1 plus D2. So before writing directly, I will add one step. 0.5 D1 is nothing but QM. Q is equal to D1 by M, diameter quotient, plus again M into Z2 D2. So I will write 0.5. M I will take common, and it will be Q plus Z2. Because we have discussed here Q is equal to D1 by M, D1 is equal to VM. For your understanding purpose, I have written. Okay. So this is the relation diameter quotient. So D1 is equal to QM, and we are having D2 is equal to MZ2. So here you will get D1 is equal to Q into M. The values are substituted, and you will get the center distance A is equal to 0.5 M Q plus Z2. So I will highlight here A is equal to 0.5 M into bracket Q plus Z2. And the number of torques, the guidelines for the number of torques on the worm. It is the number of thread helices cut around the cylindrical body of the worm along the length of the worm. The number of torque on the worm should not normally exceed 6. So we have discussed single start, double start, triple start, multi start. So it should not be exceed more than 6. And the recommended value of number of torques are given. So see here, depending upon the speed ratio, the values are given. Speed ratio I. So let me tell you first what is the speed ratio. The speed ratio I is equal to Z2 by Z1. Z2 stands for the number of teeth on worm wheel, Z1 worm, and this N1 by N2. So Z1 value is already given, Z2 is given, Z1 number of torques, it is not number of teeth. So keep in mind the terminology for this particular helical gear. Z1 number of torques, Z2 number of teeth on the worm wheel. So if you see here, the speed ratio is 20 or more than 20. In such case, the number of torques, single torque thread is used. The speed ratio 12 to 16, double start. The speed ratio 8 to 12, triple start. And then 6 to 12, 4 start, and 4 to 10, multi start, you can say 6 start. So these are the recommended value of number of torques based on the speed ratio. So these are nothing but the, I can say here, recommended values of number of torques. Recommended values of number of torques based on the speed ratio, and the speed ratio, it is mentioned here clear cut. The speed ratio is nothing but, here it is given, I is equal to Z2 by Z1 number of teeth on worm wheel divided by number of torque, or it is also equal to N1 by N2 in revolution per minute, RPM. So this is about the worm and worm wheel.